Your dog waits all day for you to stand up. The second you do, they're in your spot before you can even turn around. Most people laugh it off, but what if that one little move is actually the most emotionally loaded thing your dog will ever do, and you've been misreading it your entire life? Welcome to Canine Mind. If you want to truly understand what your dog is trying to tell you, hit subscribe right now, because what we're about to unpack will completely change the way you see your dog forever. Here's the thing. Matt's seat isn't just warm. It isn't just comfortable to your dog. That spot you just left holds something that no toy, no treat, no dog bed in the world can replicate. And the reason they go straight for it every single time, it's not about the cushion, it's about you. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what your dog has been trying to communicate every single time they've done this, probably for years. Let's start at the beginning. 1. You've seen it 100 times. You stand up to grab a glass of water, maybe answer the door, maybe just stretch your legs for 30 seconds, and before you've even taken 3 steps, your dog is already spinning in circles on your seat, pressing their nose deep into the cushion, settling in like they've been waiting all day for this exact moment. Which, here's the thing, they probably have. Dogs experience the world almost entirely through smell. Their noses contain roughly 300 million olfactory receptors. Yours has about 6 million. That means your dog's sense of smell is anywhere between 10,000 and 100,000 times more powerful than yours, depending on the breed. That's not a small difference. That's a completely different sensory universe. Now, think about what your seat smells like to them. Every time you sit down, you leave behind a dense, layered chemical signature. The natural oils from your skin, trace hormones, the subtle shifts in your body chemistry that happen when you're relaxed, when you're stressed, when you've just come home after a long day. Your dog doesn't just detect these things. They read them the way you'd read a detailed letter from someone you love. Research published in scientific journals studying K9 has found that dogs can detect emotional states through human scent alone. Anxiety, calm, excitement. Your dog picks up on all of it. And your seat, it's soaked in the most concentrated version of your scent they can access when you're not physically there. So, when your dog presses their face into your cushion and exhales deeply, they're not being lazy. They're not being opportunistic. They're doing something ancient and profound. They're wrapping themselves in the chemical equivalent of your presence. It's the closest thing to being next to you that they can find without actually being next to you. And here's what makes this even more important, because this scent connection is only the first layer of what's really happening. There's something underneath it that most dog owners never think to consider. Keep watching, because what comes next explains so much about your dog's behavior that's probably confused you for years. 2, they're not stealing your spot. Let's flip the script on something most people get completely backwards. When your dog takes your seat, every instinct tells you they're taking something away from you. They're being cheeky. They're being dominant. They're winning some little power struggle you didn't even know you were having. That's the story most people tell themselves. But that's not what's happening. Dogs are descended from pack animals that operated on very clear social structures. In those structures, one of the most important responsibilities a pack member had was guarding the resources and resting places of the individuals they were bonded to. Not stealing them. Guarding them. When your dog sits in your spot, a significant part of that behavior is about preservation. They are holding your place. They are keeping your scent concentrated and protected. They are, in their own way, maintaining the presence of the person they're most attached to in the space where that person belongs. Think about how dogs behave with objects that belong to their owners. Many dogs will curl up next to or even on top of their owner's shoes, their unwashed laundry, their pillow when they travel. This isn't random. It's a comfort-seeking and territory-holding behavior rooted in deep attachment. Your seat is just the most obvious version of this. Studies on canine separation-related behavior have found that dogs who have strong attachment bonds to their owners show significantly more seat-occupying and owner item-seeking behaviors when left alone compared to dogs with weaker attachment bonds. In other words, the more your dog loves you, the more likely they are to be sitting in your seat the moment you leave it. So, the next time you come back to find your dog sprawled across your spot, looking completely unrepentant, take a second before you shoo them off, because what you're actually looking at is a dog that loves you enough to want to hold your place while you're gone. Now, this brings us to something that touches on the relationship between you and your dog at a much deeper level, because the seat isn't just about scent, and it isn't just about attachment. It's also about something your dog has quietly decided about who you are to them, and this one might genuinely surprise you. 3. Here's a question most people never think to ask. Why your seat? Why not the armchair in the corner? Why not the other end of the sofa? Why not the patch of sunlight on the floor that's been there all afternoon? Your dog is not randomly choosing comfort. They are specifically choosing your spot. And that choice is intentional in a way that goes much deeper than most people realize. Dogs are extraordinarily observant. They spend their entire lives reading the humans they live with, tracking routines, monitoring body language, cataloging patterns of behavior. Over weeks and months and years, your dog builds an incredibly detailed internal map of your household. Who feeds them? Who opens the door? Who controls when walks happen and when playtime ends? Who sits where and how long? And with what kind of energy? And what they've almost certainly concluded, if they're going to your seat specifically, is that you are the most important person in that space. In canine social dynamics, the resting place of the most significant individual in a group carries a kind of status, not dominance in the aggressive, outdated sense that old dog training theory used to push, but significance. Your seat is where the person who matters most spends their time. It holds the heaviest concentration of your energy, your warmth, your smell. And for a dog who has decided that you are their person, that spot becomes the most meaningful location in the entire house. When your dog sits in it, they're not challenging your authority. They're expressing something closer to reverence. They want to be where you are in the most literal sense possible. And when you're not there, the next best thing is to be exactly where you were. Dog behavior researchers have observed that dogs in multi-person households will almost always preferentially occupy the seat of the person they have the strongest bond with. Even when other seats are equally warm, equally cushioned, and equally available, the attachment drives the choice, not the comfort. Think about that. Out of every available surface in your home, your dog keeps coming back to the one that belongs to you. That's not coincidence. That's a decision. And what we're building toward here, what all of these layers are pointing to, is a conclusion about what this behavior really means that most dog owners spend years completely missing. We're getting there, but first, there's something physical happening that you need to understand. 4. Put your hand on your seat right after you've been sitting in it for an hour. It's warm. Obviously, you already knew that. But what you probably don't know is how significant that warmth is for your dog from a biological standpoint. Dogs have a slightly higher baseline body temperature than humans. The average human sits around 98.6 degrees F. Dogs typically run between 100 and 102.5 degrees F. Their metabolism burns hotter. Their ideal environmental temperature is correspondingly higher. This is why dogs seek out warm surfaces with what can look like borderline obsession. Sunny patches on the floor, the top of the dryer, the warm side of a laptop that's been running for an hour, freshly dried laundry that came out of the machine 5 minutes ago, your seat. But here's what makes your seat specifically valuable in a way those other warm surfaces aren't. It's warm, and it smells like you. It's warm, and it feels safe. It's warm, and it carries every layer of emotional and social meaning we've already talked about. The heat is real, and it matters biologically, but it works together with everything else to make your seat the single most appealing spot in your dog's entire world. Research on thermorelation in domestic dogs has found that dogs expend measurably less energy when resting on warm surfaces compared to cool ones, because their bodies don't have to work as hard to maintain core temperature. So, occupying your warm seat isn't just emotionally satisfying for your dog, it's physically efficient. It's good for them in a concrete metabolic sense. Your dog has, without ever reading a single study on thermorelation, figured out that your seat is the warmest, safest, most energy efficient, most emotionally comforting place in the house. And they figured out that the exact moment it becomes available is the moment you stand up, which leads directly to something that tends to blow people's minds when they first hear it. 5. This one stops people cold. You haven't moved yet. You're still sitting there, and yet your dog is already starting to position themselves. They're watching you with that particular quality of attention that's different from their usual relaxed observation, almost like they're waiting for a signal only they can perceive. And here's the truth. They are. Dogs are pattern recognition machines operating at a level of precision that most humans can't really grasp. They have been studying you, specifically you, for every single day of the time they've lived with you. They know the sound your phone makes when you put it face down on the side table. They know the particular way you shift your weight in the cushion right before you stand up. They know the specific quality of breath you take before you say something out loud versus the breath you take right before you get up and walk to the kitchen. Every one of these micro signals has been cataloged. Every one has been connected to an outcome. And over months and years, your dog has assembled a predictive model of your behavior that is frankly more detailed than anything you've built about yourself. Research in animal cognition, including landmark studies on dogs' ability to anticipate owner behavior, has consistently found that dogs can predict routine actions with remarkable accuracy based on environmental cues that humans produce unconsciously. This is part of why many dogs appear to know when their owner is coming home before the car is even in the driveway. They've mapped the time, the sounds, the subtle shifts in household energy that precede your arrival. The same process is happening in real time on your sofa. Your dog isn't reacting to you getting up. They're anticipating it. They're already in motion based on signals you gave them seconds or minutes before you consciously decided to move. And by the time you're actually standing, they've already calculated the trajectory, cleared the distance, and claimed the spot. This is not your dog being annoying. This is your dog demonstrating one of the most sophisticated cognitive skills in the animal kingdom, applied entirely to the question of where they're going to nap next. But understanding why they're so good at reading you, that connects to something much bigger about the relationship between dogs and humans, something that's been building for tens of thousands of years. And understanding it completely changes the meaning of everything we've talked about so far. 6. Here's something that used to be genuinely controversial in animal behavior science and is now increasingly accepted as fact. Dogs don't just observe humans. They learn from us. They model their behavior on ours. For a long time, the scientific consensus was that social learning of this kind, watching another individual and intentionally copying their behavior, was something that happened primarily in primates. Dogs were thought to be good at reading human cues, sure, but actually absorbing and replicating human behavior patterns, that seemed like a stretch. Then researchers started looking more carefully. Studies from institutions, including the University of Vienna, have demonstrated that dogs engage in what's called observational learning at a surprisingly sophisticated level. They watch what their owners do. They form associations between specific behaviors and specific locations, times, and outcomes, and they apply what they've observed to their own behavior in ways that go beyond simple conditioning. Your seat is a perfect example of this. Your dog has watched you sit in that spot for months or years. They've seen how you behave there. The relaxation in your body, the extended time you spend in that location, the comfort and ease of your presence in that spot. And what they've concluded on some level is that this must be the right place to be. If you keep going back there, if that's where you seem most at ease, if that's where you spend your most settled and comfortable time, then that seat must hold something worth having. And so they go there too. This is also why dogs tend to mirror their owner's emotional states and activity levels over time. Calm owners tend to have calmer dogs. High energy owners tend to have dogs that match that energy. It's not just a matter of matched personalities. It's active social learning. Your dog is taking their cues from you constantly and adjusting who they are based on what they observe. Your seat is just the most visible and concrete expression of that process. They want to be where you are. They want to do what you do. They want to exist in the spaces you exist in because you specifically, you are the template they're working from. And this brings us to the final piece, the one that wraps everything else together. The one that honestly, once you understand it, you're probably never going to look at your dog the same way again. 7. Let's pull all of this together, because each layer we've talked about, the scent, the warmth, the social learning, the pattern recognition, the attachment, they're all pointing to the same thing. Think about what vulnerability means for a dog. Dogs are descended from animals where choosing the wrong place to rest could be genuinely dangerous. Sleep is the moment of maximum vulnerability. It's when your guard is down, when your awareness drops, when you're most exposed to whatever might be coming. In the wild, or even in a feral context, a dog that rested in an unsafe place near the wrong individuals at the wrong time, that was a dog that might not wake up. This is deep in their biology. The decision of where to sleep, where to rest, where to let their guard down, it's not casual, it's not arbitrary. It carries evolutionary weight that thousands of years of domestic life haven't fully erased. Now, look at what your dog is doing when they take your seat. They are choosing the spot that smells most like you, the spot that holds your warmth, the spot that represents the highest concentration of your presence in the physical world. They're choosing to be vulnerable in the place that feels most like you, which means they're choosing to be vulnerable because of you, because of what you mean to them. Your dog could rest anywhere. There's probably a dog bed somewhere in your house that you spent real money on and that they walk past every single day. There's likely a sunny patch on the floor that's warm and comfortable and available whenever they want it. There might be a chair no one uses, a corner with good sight lines, a dozen other options, and they choose your seat. That's not convenience. That's not laziness. That is your dog telling you in the clearest way their behavior allows that you are their safe place, that your presence, even the residual impression of your presence, the scent and warmth you left behind, is enough to make any location feel secure, that the world is manageable, comfortable, and worth resting in, specifically because of you. Research on attachment in domestic dogs consistently finds that the strength of the human-dog bond is one of the most powerful predictors of a dog's overall well-being, stress response, confidence, and behavior. Dogs with strong, secure attachments to their owners are calmer, more adaptable, more resilient under stress, and more socially comfortable overall. And the behaviors that express that attachment, seeking the owner's scent, occupying the owner's space, staying close to the owner's presence in whatever form is available, are among the clearest indicators of that bond. When your dog takes your seat, they are exhibiting one of the strongest attachment behaviors available to them. They are showing you with their whole body and their whole instinct that you are the center of their emotional world. So the next time you come back from the kitchen and find them settled in, looking up at you with those completely unapologetic eyes, maybe don't rush to move them. Maybe sit down next to them instead. Because what they're doing in that moment isn't rude, and it isn't dominant, and it isn't some little power game you need to win. It's love. It's the quietest, most sincere, most biologically honest kind of love a dog knows how to give. They've taken everything that smells like you, everything that feels like you, everything that reminds them of you, and they've wrapped themselves in it. Because, to them, there is nowhere better to be. If this video changed the way you see your dog, even a little bit, that's what Canine Mind is here for. Hit subscribe, because every single week we go deeper into the science and the meaning behind the behaviors your dog shows you every day. Share this with someone who has a dog that steals their seat, because now you both know what it really means.